We have Valorant local servers. It's about time that more games started taking note of the South African landscape. Someone's there. I come from Overwatch just because I had a really great netcode. And I could not get into Valorant, although I loved the core mechanics, because it was just impossible to play here on like 150, 160 ping. And now we're getting 3 millisecond ping. Well, at least if you're in Cape Town anyway. The people that brought the servers to South Africa are a company called Carry First. They do like a bunch of, you can buy codes for games and you can buy in-game currency at like discounts and stuff from them. They're very cool. And they have a relationship with Riot, and they are the ones that implemented the servers for Riot, or on behalf of Riot. So I thought I would just chat to Spencer Ma, who works at Carry First, who helped deploy the servers, just like how they work and where they are. So one of the things I asked him are, where exactly are the servers in South Africa?
We don't know exactly where the servers are in terms of its precise location, but they are in Cape Town. You could probably ask friends who are getting super low MS to maybe triangulate where they are, but they're just in Cape Town. That's all we know.
For the AWS servers?
Yes, they're AWS servers, to my knowledge at least.
The other thing I wanted to challenge him on are like, what are some of the challenges that we have in regards to ping? Because they're in Cape Town, Cape Town is getting better ping than anywhere else in the country.
What we've seen in recently, since server launch, with challenges around the country with ping, is that, especially since the server is in Cape Town, people in Cape Town can enjoy much lower ping. However, relative to what it was before, if any servers came, everywhere around the country is still able to enjoy a better experience overall.
Yeah, I guess that if it's low ping in Durban, it's still better than it ever was.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we getting servers in different parts of the country, like Joburg or Durban?
Yeah, I think currently Riot's plans are to stick with the server in Cape Town and to see how the player engagement from just the South Africa server in Cape Town works. There could be plans for another server elsewhere in South Africa. I can't tell from Riot's plans, but for now it's just Cape Town.
And as exciting as Valorant is as a game that's getting servers here, what are the chances of other Riot games, maybe like League of Legends, getting their own servers in South Africa?
Again, so can't really say what Riot's plans are. I think they want to really feel out how much they can sense from the community for engagement for Valorant particularly, before making a decision on any other servers. So right now, we at Carry First are just focused on making some of the best events and really engage with the community to show Riot that there is a very growing and healthy game community here. But again, I can't really say whether or not Riot will expand their service-selling titles at this moment.
So Spencer works for Carry First, who are the company that deployed the servers, like I said a little bit earlier. But why have they done that on behalf of Riot? Like, what's Carry First's incentive?
Yeah, so actually, Carry First, we have timed our partnership with Riot in kind of a way where it seems like we deploy it. However, Riot is ultimately the one responsible for launching the servers. They asked us, when they decided to launch the servers, to host events and do a lot of community engagement around server launch, just to draw up hype and to really emphasize the launch as well. So we actually didn't launch the servers ourselves from more of a local marketing standpoint, and that's where we're at today. And I think with Carry First and Riot, we've always been strategic partners for quite some time, and when they decided they wanted to launch the servers, they tapped us to do a lot more on the ground.
How is Carry First involved with Riot when you say you're strategic partners? Like, why is that the case?
This predates my time at Carry First, but I believe Riot Games is an investor or somewhat of a strategic partner within Carry First out of their venture fund. I, again, don't know the full details of this, so take this with a grain of salt. This is before I joined. And in terms of the partnership, we've had some sort of relationship with Riot for quite a while with their international publishing team. And within the context of this campaign, again, they wanted to launch a server in South Africa and tapped us to do local marketing events. In the past, particularly the Activision Call of Duty Mobile campaign.
They've also deployed Call of Duty mobile servers in South Africa last year, which was awesome. But what other games could Carry First be helping out, and what servers could they be deploying next?
We don't have anything that we can share yet. But again, I think we are actively working on exploring partnerships with publishers, hopefully some to come very soon. And that is 100% one of our goals, is bring as much attention to the local gaming community here as possible, not only within South Africa, but within the African continent as a whole. So definitely be on the lookout for some exciting news from Carry First.
Something that I just also wanted to get into was that a lot of players from Africa kind of are left out. We have other servers, maybe Middle East or EU, that we can join up, but South Africa seems to be the only country on the continent to get servers, and I kind of understand why. We're the furthest away from everybody else, but South Africa is often seen as the gateway into the rest of Africa, which I think is kind of strange, because we have some incredible countries like Nigeria or Kenya where servers could be deployed that we could all be using. Selfishly, I'm super grateful that they're here at Cape Town where I live, but why have they deployed them here? But more importantly, is this the gateway for Riot to deploy other servers throughout Africa?
I think, in my opinion, I believe so. I think with a lot of large publishers, especially ones as big as the ones that we're partnering with, they view this campaign and also this engagement as some sort of a test to run to see whether or not they would like to expand to the rest of the continent. Hopefully, that's our goal as well. And so when we sign on to do this project, and my own personal mission as well, is to convince them that the entire African market, not just South Africa, is worth exploring and investing in. And so hopefully, again, we'll see that this is more of a gateway to the rest of the continent. But that's just my personal opinion. That's something that Riot's, right? The publisher shared.
Why South Africa and not Kenya, for instance?
Again, it's not a decision that I know in terms of the intricacies. I think when Riot approached us, they mentioned that they were going to launch servers in South Africa and do a test pilot. I assume because there could be some similar characteristics, but again, this is just my speculation, such as English-speaking language, country, I don't know, a little bit more of an established base for some of the games, particularly for Valorant, which is an FPS that is very popular in South Africa. I think they had some initial data on community and user base before they had decided to do a dedicated marketing campaign to launch a server here. So that's all, again, my guess, but hopefully we'll see some expansion to other countries.
And now that Carry First have deployed these servers for Riot, what is the future of Valorant for South Africa? Are there plans to make Valorant a staple game for South Africans and for Africans in general?
Yeah, I mean, this is my hope of what the Valorant community can be. I really hope to see Valorant become the #1 FPS in South Africa from a personal standpoint, especially with local servers that will remain, as well as potentially setting up an infrastructure for community engagement and more tournaments. That is definitely what we strive to have. And also, from my own personal ambition for what the community can be, is to integrate with the global scene, whether it's within tournaments or whether it's just in general with the community, having a way for our South African game community to make it to the big stage, to the international stage, to compete against other players across the world would definitely be a dream of mine. So this is all to say that this is just a personal ambition, and it's something that I really want to work on in this campaign, not speaking to what Brian has in mind.
I think it's really exciting. I think that we don't often get the privilege of having servers here in Africa. We are often the butt of the joke is that Africa's always just not seen, right? It's we have a launch event, but the whole continent of Africa, the biggest continent on the planet, is just blank. There's nothing happening when it comes to game servers. And it's not like we don't have gamers on the entire continent of Africa. We have some really advanced cities, really high-tech fiber-like infrastructures, huge cultures around video games. It's just crazy to me that we just are underappreciated. I kind of understand maybe in the older days where we had to, pay 800, 1,000 Rand or whatever, $60 for a game. The dollar doesn't go very far in Africa, but we are now talking about free-to-play games where you can build a culture around battle passes and a whole bunch of other ways to monetize these games. And the whole point of that is that people can play these games for a rather inexpensively. And making it free-to-play means that all your friends are going to play it, and building a culture around the game means that that's what people will be spending their time playing. That'll be the zeitgeist. That'll be people will be talking about. That's what Fortnite did so well not so long ago. Now's the opportunity for more game developers to start putting out servers. But I'm very excited about Valorant in South Africa for a couple of reasons. We have a very strong culture when it comes to first-person shooters, especially games like Counter-Strike. We do have Counter-Strike servers in South Africa, but it's a game that actually isn't as accessible as a game like Valorant. And I know there's a lot of discussion about this, and maybe I'll make like an entire video just about the accessibility of Valorant. But the point is that more people can get into the games. They are much faster to get into. They aren't stuck to any legacy, infrastructure. Like Counter-Strike is 1.6, and it has to be evolved into Source, and then it takes a lot of baggage with it. I feel the same with Dota. There are a lot of game mechanics which are just very strange. They kind of just get adopted because there's a culture around the game, and it matures and gets into new players' hands. But the problem is at this stage, what ends up happening is it becomes less accessible, because if you don't know all those weird little hiccups like in Dota, last hitting, then it makes the game harder to get into. But making a game that's brand new from the ground up, it's not brand new now, but it's a couple of years old, but brand new for modern video game standards, means that I think it's got a very good chance of getting into the mainstream zeitgeist here in South Africa. It's great competitive shooter, and it's a great competitive shooter, and it's more family friendly in a sense than Counter-Strike. I think Counter-Strike's veneer is terrorists and counter-terrorists. It's hard to put onto super sport for the competitive nature of the game. So there's a lot about it that I think it's got the capacity to do very well here. And having a 3 millisecond ping in Cape Town, I know some people are getting like 20 millisecond or 50 millisecond in Durban. The thing is, it's still a first world experience. It's regardless if we're playing under 60 ping, we're getting some really good competitive gameplay, and I think we need that kind of performance, firstly to improve our game and get used to playing on low ping, but also just having fun. There's a lot of arguments, another video for another time, but there's a lot of arguments as to why having local servers makes us less competitive on the international scene. I know there's going to be a lot of comments about that on this video, but the point is that we can have more fun. That's it's way more fun playing a competitive game on your own ping. Like, more people play Sunday football than they play in the UEFA Champions League. And that's my analogy for all of this. And maybe that's another video for another time. Anyway, I'm just very excited about this whole thing in general, and I hope you are too. And if you are, please hit the like button. This is a relatively new channel. I'm getting so pumped about this game, and I'm just so excited to share it with South Africa and just jam a proper shooter and a proper ping, that I'm glad this is all going down. So yeah, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more Valorant stuff, especially with its relationship to South Africa, and Africa as a continent, because I think that's where it's going. I'm going to be trying to cover as much of that as possible here, and then also just jamming and live streaming and having a good time with a game that I'm really passionate about, and I hope that you are too. Cheers, I'll see you in another video.